I've been doing this whole home espresso thing for nearly a decade now, so it may come as a surprise to some of you that I haven't really had much, if any, extended experience with Breville espresso machines, especially considering how popular they are. But recently, that all changed. This is the new Oracle Jet, which on the surface fits neatly into Breville's very identifiable aesthetics. And its general tagline is it's the new standard in automation, performance, and speed, which to many home baristas, both experienced and aspiring, could sound pretty good, depending on your thoughts on automation, which in coffee enthusiast circles is a bit of a dirty word. But regardless, the Jet does bring some interesting new tech and features, like their new Thermojet system that boasts a fast heat up time and consistent brew temperatures, a one-press grind, dose, and tamp to remove any human error, plus the Auto-Milq, which is designed to steam and texture hands-free. So in today's video, we're going to dive into the Oracle Jet, talking about its features, its performance and abilities, and of course the ever-present, unavoidable quirks and downsides. But first, in the spirit of full disclosure, the folks over at Breville sent me the Oracle Jet for review, but only after agreeing to my terms of no access to my draft or the contents of this video prior to full public release. With all that out of the way, we're going to dive right into it after a quick word from this video's sponsor, Third Wave Water. When it comes to brewing the best coffee, quality ingredients matter. And purely by the numbers, water makes up to 98% of what's in your cup, and it's absolutely vital to the long-term reliability of your equipment. So after months of testing and trials, I've landed on Third Wave Water formulas for all of my coffee preparation. Not only is it formulated to not produce scale or cause corrosion, but there's an option for every palate. Third Wave Water offers a wide variety of mineral blends specifically designed to get the most out of your favorite roast level or brew type. So what are you waiting for? Take control of one of the most important variables for brewing quality coffee and head over to thirdwavewater.com/Sprometheus or use code Sprometheus at checkout to save 10% off your first purchase. Thanks to Third Wave Water for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back into it. For those already familiar with the Oracle line of espresso machines, the Jet does look pretty recognizable, but considering it's the newest addition to the Breville lineup and has some of its own new unique features, a quick overview is a good way to start. So of course, right up front, you've got the full color touch display, which is used for pretty much everything on the machine, from swiping through the preloaded drink recipes to running cleaning cycles and changing some brew parameters like the PID temperature. Also, much like many of the Breville machines that came before it, the Jet is an all-in-one, meaning it both grinds and brews. Up top, it features a 340-gram hopper that doses whole beans into an adjustable grinder with a set of conical burrs from the well-known grinder company Baratza. The grinds themselves are then dosed and tamped internally into a commercial-sized 58mm portafilter. The portafilter then locks into a heated group, and from there, espresso drinks are literally just a couple button presses away, including steaming, which can be done hands-free. Plus, it has options for dairy and alternatives, as well as temperature and microfoam adjustments. And finally, all of the water needed for both brewing and steaming is pulled from the internal 2.3-liter water tank, which can be easily accessed from the back using the machine's third wheel feature, and refilled through the top hatch. And finally, the water itself is flash heated using their newly designed Thermojet system, which does mean it's not a classic boiler-based machine, which makes it more energy efficient as it only heats water as needed. But unlike the Breville dual boiler, which has become a pretty popular enthusiast espresso machine, you can't steam and pull shots at the same time. When it comes to Breville's machines, even with my admitted limited experience, the first thing I think of is how they're plug and play, and when it comes to that, the Oracle Jet really is no different. With just a single button press, the machine is primed and warmed up, immediately offering you a list of available drink options ready to brew. Once you pick your coffee of choice, it also gives you a straightforward walkthrough of each step on the screen, which includes tips for grind adjustments, options for shot size and milk choice, including, as I mentioned, foam depth and temperature. And that's really all of the prep that's required. From there, all you do is lock your portafilter into the grinder, which automatically doses and tamps. Move it into the group, and tap the espresso icon to brew. You can even auto-cue the next step for a fairly seamless automated experience. But beyond the tech and the workflow, let's get into what it actually produces. So when it comes to espresso, I have been very happy with the results in the cup. The shots themselves have a nice body and balance, including meeting specialty standard extraction percentages of 18 to 20%, which essentially means, at least to me, that all of the parameters to produce proper espresso are met to a pretty high standard, and this includes something like grinding, which is done by, as I mentioned, a pair of Baratza burrs, a nice even application of water from the shower screen, as well as a consistent brew temperature delivered by their Thermojet heater. But when it comes to steaming, my experience has been more of a mixed bag. On manual mode, it's actually very easy and works really well. The texturing or the adding of air isn't really aggressive, allowing for a lot of room for error. Plus, finding the point that creates a very nice whirlpool for incorporating the foam and heating thoroughly is also very easy, which is good considering the wand itself doesn't have the full articulation I'm used to, and just pulls out for manual mode and locks in for hands-free. But speaking of hands-free, when it comes to the Auto-Milq feature, it does leave a lot to be desired. I've had decent results on whole milk, but it is still very bubbly to start, and requires a lot of tapping and swirling to get it ready to pour, and the texture still isn't quite where I'd want it to be ideally. With alternative milks, it often ends up extremely bubbly on top, but unincorporated and thin down below, leaving the pores very thin even on higher microfoam settings. But beyond the classic espresso-based drinks, Breville has also now added cold espresso and cold brew. Now, this process essentially extracts espresso with room temperature water, which does work, but doesn't produce as full-bodied and balanced cups due to its lower extraction yield. And when you make cold brew, it runs a large amount of water through the coffee puck, which to me ends up tasting a bit dull and flat. So personally, I don't really see myself taking advantage of the cold extraction features, and will be sticking with the tried and true hot shots. The Oracle Jet, though impressive in its speed and efficiency, isn't immune to its quirks and downsides, so let's talk about some of the issues that have come up during my testing. For one, the drink interface is a bit repetitive. Of course, it has a lot of drinks, but they all mostly use the same parameters for espresso and steaming. So outside of those small user-adjusted differences, this massive list of drinks just feels like padding, so they can have just as many options as possible. Next up, the doses of grinds are pretty high, and they're relatively difficult to adjust, and don't really adjust all that much. To reduce the dose in the portafilter, which from stock is at around 22 grams, you have to remove the tamping and distribution impeller that's inside the grinder, and fiddle with the height of the attachment screw. And even at its lowest point, it still lands at around 19.5 grams. And personally, I like to use around 17 to 18 grams for my shots, so when I first got the machine and started trying to adjust the dose, I was pretty disappointed with how high it actually was at its lowest point, because any lower, I did have the impeller fall off into my portafilter, and the grinder just kept grinding and clogged the chute, and it was just an entire mess. And speaking of the dose, it can also be pretty inconsistent, resulting in a swing of a half a gram or more, which can cause inconsistencies in the puck itself. Plus, it doesn't really help that the impeller that's used for grinding and tamping and distribution also seems to collect a good amount of grinds throughout its process as well. When I used a bottomless portafilter, it shows there are some obvious flaws in the puck prep. That's all done sort of behind the scenes using this single impeller, which is designed to both distribute and tamp the grinds themselves. But when I do my own grinding and prep, the flow is much smoother and cleaner. And because of the way the tamping and dosing is done, using other aftermarket baskets doesn't seem that great, as it can throw everything off, leaving you with an overdose, an underdose, or even an untamped or uneven surface. When it comes to reviewing the Oracle Jet, I had to continually remind myself that this machine wasn't built for me, or even people like me. Let me explain. As much as I want to complain about the lack of control, like with the pre-infusion and the pressure, having no visible pressure gauge, and the little inconsistencies with the grinding and tamping systems, I still think that the audience this machine was made for, it's still more or less ideal. Its simple user interface, straightforward workflow, and helpful hints for those who may be new to espresso can give anyone the confidence to dial in and make good drinks without much of a learning curve. Really, the only major caveat I see with the Jet in terms of being a great entry-level or beginner machine is the cost. Coming in at just under $2,000, it's definitely a financial commitment. though you won't need to buy a grinder or any accessories like a tamper or steaming pitcher, as it comes with everything you need to get started. So I think the market for this machine is nestled somewhere between those who are experienced enough to know that they want espresso at home, but also know that they want it without a lot of the fuss and mess. But on that note, I think it's time I start wrapping this one up, and as always, pass the conversation on to you. So what are your thoughts on Breville, on the Breville Oracle Jet? And if you're a longtime Breville owner or user, I'd love to hear your thoughts on their reliability, because over the course of a month, I can't really speak on that. And also, what are your thoughts on this push towards automation, as I know it can be a touchy subject within espresso enthusiast circles. So drop your answers to those questions and any others you may have in the comment section down below. And as always, I'll see y'all in the next video. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit that little bell button for notifications when new videos drop. Check out my Instagram at Sprometheus for more coffee content. Help support the channel by considering becoming a member for unique exclusive perks. And as always, stay caffeinated. Ponyboy